Peeps, Charlie.
What's going on, man? It sounds like everything's good. My mute button's not on. This one should work.
All right. Video blog underway. Charlie and Gideon back. What are we talking about? We're talking about
That was an awkward pause.
yeah. Well, I just had to think about what we were talking about. But we talked about sharing with people the interesting thing about how I guess we all, at some degree, can react towards very, very tiny things in life and make it totally out of proportion. Which is it's interesting to observe for yourself if you are in that situation yourself, or observe it like you did, Charlie.
Yeah, we were coming out of the movies last weekend, and we looked over the popcorn stand. This guy's flailing his arms and kind of yelling. So we walked over to the lady and asked her what the problem was, and this guy wanted a refill for his popcorn. And for a refill, you need your receipt. They have a lot of kids come in and just bring a bin or a little box of popcorn from weeks ago and just get that free refill. So they just need a receipt. It's simple. Lady was polite as can be, just nice as can be. Guy asked for his popcorn. She said, "I need your receipt." He said he didn't have it, and he lost his mind when she said no. F this, F that, swearing at a nice old lady behind the counter of a popcorn machine in a movie theater. This guy freaked out, went storming off, and just kept swearing and swearing. And you and I have talked about this. Obviously had nothing to do with the popcorn. Obviously had nothing to do with the nice old lady that was just nice as can be behind the counter. Obviously he was either miserable at home, in a relationship, at work, something, because usually when something like that happens, it has nothing to do with the person you're talking to.
What's that?
Go ahead.
What I'm thinking about that is that I have read a book called A New Earth by Charley, where he talks about a theme called the pain body, which is basically a deep pain that is really unconscious, that you have deep down somewhere, something that usually has happened in the early years of one's life, and when that is being recalled in real life, that is being like that is like ignition, it's ignited, and then it just fires out and expresses itself like totally like a firecracker.
Yeah.
And that's something I believe we all have to work on, but it's kind of interesting to see, I guess, from your perspective when that happens, especially when it comes to like a thing that really doesn't matter.
Same thing. A great example is when someone cuts you off in traffic, and you'll see that person speed up, lay on their horn, make sure that person knows they cut them off, flip them off, and ruin both their days. Imagine if the world understood that person in front of them that cut them off didn't mean to. They understood that was just another person headed to work to put food on the table. Yeah. Imagine if every person viewed each other as someone they could help rather than someone who's going to take from them.
Yeah.
But these small little things, does it really, really matter if you cut you off? Does it really? They ruin their entire day over something so simple because they're probably headed to a job they don't like, or they have people in their life that bring them down, or they refuse to change something in their life that they're miserable for. So it has really nothing to do with the person who cut them off or the person who asked for the receipt. It has everything to do with them internally, but they just don't see that.
Yeah, and you touched on that, or it's something that I really got aware of this week. I stayed with one of my friends called Chris in Colorado Springs for leading up to the workshop I had this weekend. And we talked about that whenever you see something negative in your environment, or in a person, or in a situation, or whatever, it has nothing to do, your negativity towards that situation or whatever has nothing to do with whatever is outside of you. It's everything to do with what is inside of you. Because obviously, if you feel that way, that must be something inside of you that is, because we can obviously, through working on ourselves, totally detach ourselves from reacting towards something that really doesn't matter, or something that is insignificant.
Yep. And it comes back to what you were saying on our first video that I recorded incorrectly. Ego. We all have the kids in our schools that were fighters. They always fought, and they always claimed that they don't go out and find it; it finds them. That's the whole ego thing. Well, I've never been in a fight in my life. I've never punched someone in my life. First of all, I'm a pansy. I would get my butt kicked. But second of all, there's been many times that I could have gotten into a typical fight like everyone else did. But it's the ego thing. Who cares if that guy's tougher? Who cares if he's pushing you? Who cares if there's a group of people wanting you to fight back? Yeah, they're just holding on to something. There's something internally that they have to prove. Yeah, there's bigger things to fight for. Maybe changing the world for the better, rather than some individual in front of you being an idiot and you have to fight him to prove you're tougher.
Yeah.
Why don't you prove that you can make the world a better place? Why don't you fight for something that actually can make the people around you better than rather than tear someone down? Why don't you create something good that people can focus on rather than destroy something? I've never understood that.
No, and the people who is in. I mean, we go back to the people in government and politics and war and all that stuff. I mean, it's not really any difference. It's just a matter of an old paradigm that we want to hold on to because we don't like change.
Yep, and the people at the top, the CEOs, the leaders of this country, who claim that it's all about change and they should lead us through change, they seem to be the ones holding us back the most. They seem to be the ones who don't want to change more than most people. Just, it's weird. It seems like everything's kind of backwards right now, but I do see a massive shift coming for the world in a very good way.
Yeah. We're working on it, my friend.
Yep. So, what do you think, man? Do you think we should end it? Any other topics?
I think it's a good note to end it all. I guess it comes back to reacting towards small things, but I guess the big things is what we are all reacting to, which is all the destruction of the world, and we can start to respond to that with change, as we want to do. When everybody starts to do that, I mean, that's the shift coming. So.
Yep. Yeah. Next time you have a reason to react negatively to someone, or you feel like anger coming on, take a deep breath and move on.
Ask yourself, what would love do?
I don't know if I'm going to ask myself that, but I like it anyways. All right, man. I'm gonna stop recording. We'll get that up to YouTube, and we'll get this out to the world.
See you, peeps.
See you guys.